The Crethian Alpha stood at the edge of the human military compound, his silver fur bristling with uncertainty. Commander Jennifer Hayes watched him through the observation window, her hand resting on the steaming cup of coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. "He's been standing there for 20 minutes, Jack Morrison said, adjusting his tactical vest. The young lieutenant had seen many strange things during the Interspecies Coalition War, but nothing quite like this. The Alpha finally moved, his massive form casting long shadows in the artificial twilight of the base. Behind him, 3 small figures huddled together, their oversized ears flat against their skulls. Cubs, no more than 5 solar cycles old by human estimation. Jennifer descended from the command center, her boots crunching on the gravel. The Alpha's yellow eyes tracked her approach, calculating, weighing. The Crethians were apex predators on their world, pack hunters who had evolved strategy and cunning alongside their claws and fangs. "Commander Hayes!" The Alpha's translator device crackled. His actual voice was a series of growls and chirps that no human throat could replicate. "I am Theric Nell, pack leader of the Northern Territories. Welcome to Firebase Echo, Theric Nell." Jennifer kept her posture relaxed but respectful. She had learned that Crethians interpreted confidence as competence, and competence earned respect. "The Zathran swarm pushed through our defensive line 3 days ago," Theric Nell continued, his clawed hand gesturing toward the cubs. "My mate fell protecting our den. The pack must move to secondary positions, but the journey is too dangerous for young ones. We must travel fast, fight hard. Cubs cannot keep pace." Jennifer understood immediately. The Zathran were a hive-mind species that consumed everything in their path. The Coalition had been fighting them for 18 months, and the war had created strange alliances. "You want us to watch them?" Jack said, stepping forward. He had joined Jennifer, his youthful face showing surprise. "I want you to protect them," Theric Nell corrected, his tone sharp. "Crethians do not abandon their young. But I have seen humans fight. I have seen how you defend those you consider yours." He paused, his translator struggling with the next words. "I have seen your pack loyalty, even to those not born of your blood." Jennifer exchanged a glance with Jack. The request was unprecedented. Crethians were notoriously protective of their offspring. For an Alpha to leave his cubs with an alien species spoke to either desperation or extraordinary trust. "How long?" Jennifer asked. 10 days. Perhaps 12. "If I do not return—" Theric Nell's voice caught, the translator emitting a strangled sound. "If I do not return, they are yours." The weight of that statement hung in the air. Jennifer looked at the 3 small cubs. They stared back with eyes too old for their young faces, eyes that had already seen death. "We'll keep them safe," Jennifer promised. Theric Nell performed a complex gesture, touching his forehead, heart, and throat. Then he turned and vanished into the darkness beyond the compound lights. The cubs watched him go, but none made a sound. The first 3 days were chaos. The cubs, named Rethic, Sala, and Vorn, were terrified of the human soldiers. They hissed when approached, refused to eat the protein rations, and huddled in the corner of the barracks Jennifer had cleared for them. Jack proved to be the breakthrough. On the 4th morning, he sat on the floor near their corner, eating his breakfast. He didn't look at them, didn't speak, just ate. After an hour, young Vorn crept forward and snatched a piece of dried meat from Jack's plate. "Good," Jack said softly. "There's plenty." By evening, all 3 cubs were eating. By the 6th day, they were following Jack around the compound like shadows. Jennifer watched with amusement as Jack tried to explain the morning formation drills. The cubs had incredible learning capacity, their predator instincts making them naturally observant. When the human soldiers lined up for inspection, the cubs attempted to mimic them, their small bodies trying to stand at attention. "At ease," Jennifer called, hiding her smile. The soldiers relaxed. So did the cubs in their own approximation of the stance. "Lieutenant Morrison," Jennifer said, an idea forming. "They're trying to learn our pack behaviors." Jack's eyes widened with understanding. "They're adapting, trying to fit into our structure." Over the next days, the transformation was remarkable. The cubs learned to respond to basic commands. They marched somewhat clumsily alongside the soldiers during morning exercises. Rethic, the eldest, even attempted a salute, his small paw touching his forehead in imitation of the humans. The soldiers, hardened veterans of a brutal war, fell completely in love with their small charges. Sergeant Williams spent his evenings teaching them human card games. Corporal Chen shared pictures of her own children. The cubs became the heart of Firebase Echo. a reminder of what they were fighting for. On the 11th day, the perimeter alarm sounded. Jennifer rushed to the command center, Jack already pulling up the surveillance feeds. A lone figure approached from the north. Crethian, but walking strangely, favoring his left side. "It's Theric Nell," Jack confirmed. The Alpha had returned, but he was injured. Deep gashes marked his flank and his right ear was torn. The pack had survived, but victory had come at a cost. Jennifer met him at the gate with Jack and the cubs. For a moment no one moved. Then Vorn broke ranks and ran to his father. Sala and Rethic followed, but they paused, looking back at the human soldiers. Theric Nell stared at his cubs. They stood straighter than when he had left them. Their eyes were brighter, and as he watched, young Rethic turned to Jack and performed a salute before joining his siblings. "What did you do to them?" Theric Nell asked, his translator capturing his astonishment. Jennifer smiled. "We didn't do anything. They observed, they learned, they adapted. Your cubs wanted to be part of our pack, so we made them honorary soldiers." "They march," Jack added proudly. "Not perfectly, but they march." Theric Nell watched his cubs demonstrate, their small bodies moving in synchronized steps. When they finished, they looked to him for approval, but also to Jennifer and Jack. The Alpha performed his gesture of respect again, but this time he held it longer. "Humans," he said slowly, "are strange packmates, but perhaps that is why you survive. You make family from strangers." He paused. "The Coalition needs more of this strangeness." As Theric Nell gathered his cubs to leave, Rethic ran back one last time. He pressed something into Jack's hand, a small tooth barely bigger than a pebble. A baby tooth. Among Crethians, it was a gift of pack bond, given to those who protected you when you were most vulnerable. Jennifer watched them disappear into the darkness, the three cubs now walking in a loose formation they had learned from humans. "Think we'll see them again?" Jack asked, clutching the small tooth. "In this war?" Jennifer replied. "Count on it. And when we do, those cubs will remember that humans keep their promises." Firebase Echo returned to its routines, but something had changed. The soldiers walked a little taller, their purpose renewed. They had been reminded that this war wasn't just about survival. It was about protecting those who couldn't protect themselves, regardless of what species they belonged to. In the cosmos, humanity's reputation was spreading, not just as fierce warriors or innovative tacticians, but as something else entirely. As the species that adopted orphaned alien cubs and taught them to march. As the pack that welcomed all who needed protection. As the ones who proved that family was a choice, not just biology. And in the grand calculus of the interspecies coalition war, that would make all the difference.